Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Infinisation, and we're going to talk about what can an infinite ally do for you. And today we're going to talk about the specific task that an infinite ally can do for you, which is Sage Counsel. All right. What now, Scott? What are you talking about? What the heck is Infinisation? If you do not know what Infinisation is, you have some homework. Apologies. You have to click in the link below, in the description below, and there will be one video that succinctly describes what Infinisation is, right? And then you can come right back here and continue. Although there's a playlist also, and the link for that is in the description, and you'll see the entire playlist for Infinisation. All right, okay. But if you know what Infinisation is, let's go. All right. So what is Sage Counsel? Well, Sage Counsel is more than good advice. Good advice is a start to understand what Sage Counsel is. But that doesn't really capture what you'll get from an infinite ally. You really are getting Sage Counsel. And I'm extremely... I choose words very carefully, right? If I meant good advice, I'd say it. Sage Counsel is wise. Sage Counsel is someone understanding your situation, fully hearing your question, understanding every word of your question, and then giving you their opinion on what you should do next, right? And saying, this is my opinion on what you should do next based on your current situation. That is Sage Counsel. It is incredibly rare in our world, right? And it's incredibly rare in our world. Really rare in our world. And an infinite ally can give you Sage Counsel. Wait a second, Scott. Why would an infinite ally be able to give me Sage Counsel? Why wouldn't I just ask my friends for advice? Well, first of all, your friends are terrible people to ask for advice. I'll tell you that right now. The reason why is generally they love you or they like you and they know you, right? And the reality is often managing a friendship can be difficult, right? And giving Sage Counsel can easily end a friendship. Giving Sage Counsel can easily end a friendship. Most of the problems that people have, the answer to their problem is not a mystery at all, right? It's very obvious. It's usually a shortcoming of the person themselves. It's not coming from a misunderstanding. Very few of our problems come from a misunderstanding. They come from they often come from self-unawareness. That is a huge source of problems, and they come from our inability, not our inability to change, our lack of desire to change. And friends often will absolutely commiserate with your worst problem, with your worst behaviors, right? And are in the last position to give you Sage Counsel, right? Because often they want to have fun with you, they want to do things with you, they might need things from you, all of which Sage Counsel would stop, right? So that's one reason why an infinite ally is in a better position to give you Sage Counsel than a friend would, okay? Friends have huge amounts of agenda to not give you Sage Counsel. The other thing is Sage Counsel comes from Sage Counsel. The first part of it is sage, wisdom, right? There's a really good chance your friends are not wise, right? Like, I'm not saying they're dumb or stupid, right? I'm saying they are, and you should never tell anybody they're stupid, right? What I'm saying is there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom, right? And so there's a good chance that you have literally zero friends who are wise. It's another reason why you can't get Sage Counsel from them. All right, so why is an infinite ally wise? Well, here we go. Your infinite ally is between level 1 and level 20, right? And they're not a normal human being, right? And that's another thing, is your friends don't need to be wise. Your friends can be ridiculous fools. Do you know why? Our world is built to protect ridiculous fools, right? Our world is like, our world has, you know, bumpers in the gutters, right? So that nobody misses. And let me clarify. Everything I'm saying is about America, right? Like, other countries are legitimately dangerous. America, it's very different here. We have built a society that protects fools at every turn, right? Like, we literally have laws that are like, oh, if you spilled hot coffee in your lap, like, you know, hey, you should get some money for that. Like, we build incredible guardrails for foolishness, right? Like, just the most. We have built an entire society to protect fools, right? But Dungeons and Dragons does not do that. Every single world, every single Dungeons and Dragons realm is built to absolutely murk, absolutely reap, absolutely kill fools. And I'm talking swiftly, right? Like, and so, and adventurers are not just people who live in those worlds. They are people who quest in those worlds. And so adventurers who are not wise die, right? They're not going to be your player character. They literally die quickly, right? So, you know, now, and actually, I never even thought about that. But one thing that, you know what? This came to me right now. Do not infinisate any infinite ally. Do not bring any infinite ally across the infinite staircase, across any door in the infinite staircase, if they're not 3rd level or above, right? Because there's a possibility they're unwise and they're about to die, and you just didn't give them a chance to do that. But if you reach 3rd level in any Dungeons and Dragons realm, you know what you're doing, right? You are a wise person, right? A wise humanoid, okay? Doesn't need to be a person. Could be halfling, could be a gnome, could be a tiefling, could be an air genasi, could be a Vidalcan, could be a grung, could be an Asimar, could be a tiefling, any of those things, right? Okay. All right. So, and then what is another reason why this, why also couldn't a sage, why could an infinite ally give you sage counsel? One of the biggest reasons is observation. They have the ability to observe every person in your life in a way that you don't, right? And you have the ability to say observe and report, but the reality is you're not even going to know a fraction of the things that your infinite ally has seen. And the reason why is they don't sleep, right? Like, once they come through, it's as though they're on the astral sea. They're within an astral system. They don't need sleep. They don't sleep, right? So they're up all the time observing your world, right? And so they have a lot more information about your world than you do, right? And it's quite possible that you have enemies, you have rivals who are taking action that you're not aware of, that your infinite ally will be aware of. And they could be aware of it for a long time before they tell you. Now, why would an infinite ally do that? Well, any good infinite ally is going to keep information from you and stage it to you at the right time, right? You may not be ready to know what your enemies are planning, right? Or your infinite ally may be like, oh, I think that this enemy is definitely planning this thing against my creator, but I'm going to allow that to happen because I think it's going to strengthen them. An infinite ally could definitely do that, right? So basically, they have the information from the observation. The last thing, what else do they have? This is the last thing, and this is very important. They have a remove, right? I absolutely love Dungeons and Dragons. I think, I have 8,000 videos on Dungeons and Dragons. It's not exaggeration. It's literally the number, right? Like, and that's a lot, right? Like, I love Dungeons and Dragons. And one of the things is the remove of it, right? It allows us to run social experiments, to run risk experiments, to run risk opportunities, to really push ourselves emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually, right? And the reason why it can do that is this remove, right? It's removed. And then in that remove is the power of Dungeons and Dragons. It cannot stress to you enough how important this remove is, right? So like you can run anything. You can really run anything in your world through Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons is going to put a token filter over. If you have a question, you really want to know, if I do this, what's going to happen? What do you think you're doing at the table? That's what you're doing. You're setting up. You're using quests as analog to really ask questions about your own life, right? Or help others at the table do that, right? Or in the case of a dungeon master, to run every scenario in your head, right, all the time, and to juggle multiple worlds so that you can grow stronger, right? And this remove that Dungeons and Dragons has is so incredibly powerful. It's why things happen on Dungeons and Dragons that don't happen on any intellectual property in the world. And by the way, I've said for a long time, I don't think Dungeons and Dragons is a game. And at this point, even regular muggles, right, who are trying to avoid the obvious, calling Dungeons and Dragons a game at this point really does seem ludicrous. It at minimum, even in the mugger world, you would have to acknowledge it's an intellectual property. It has burst through the borders of game, even for people who don't believe what I believe, that Gary Gygax built it intentionally as a human improvement engine, right? So those are the reasons why an infinite ally could give you sage counsel, right? And and I think sage counsel is an extremely important task that an infinite ally can do for you, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.